All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty cool about how we learn.
Yeah.
And it's all based on an article that you sent my way.
Yeah.
Call?
Yeah, this is a good one.
Need for closure.
It is a good one, yeah.
And this idea, like, really gets into some surprising things about how all of us process information when we're trying to learn something new, and even how we teach other people.
Yeah.
So we're going to unpack this concept of need for closure, and I think by the end you're going to see why understanding this idea could really help you get the most out of any kind of learning that you do.
Right, and the article that we're using to guide this deep dive is called "The Influence of Need for Closure on Learning and Teaching."
Okay.
It was written by Teresa K. DeBacker and H. Michael Krasin.
Okay.
And it was published in Educational Psychology Review back in 2009.
Okay. Very cool.
And it's a really comprehensive look at this idea of need for cognitive closure and how it really plays out in educational settings. So whether you're the one learning or you're the one teaching, this concept applies.
So what are we hoping to do here? What's like the big goal?
Yeah, so our mission today is to really understand this idea of need for closure as it relates to how learners like you engaged with information. And so we're going to try to break down the key parts of this concept, see what kind of impact it has in the classroom, and then ultimately, hopefully, pull out some insights that can be genuinely useful for your own learning journey as well.
Yeah, and you had mentioned before we started recording that you're really interested in gaining knowledge quickly, but also thoroughly.
Yeah.
And not getting overloaded with too much information.
Yeah.
So I think this idea of need for closure is going to be really helpful for thinking about that.
It is. I think it really can. Yeah. It helps us understand why you might feel pulled to jump to conclusions sometimes, or why sometimes you just want to keep exploring and not really make a decision. And importantly, how all of those things can affect how well you learn.
Okay, cool.
In our world, that's just so full of information.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough to sift through it all.
It is.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. What is this need for closure thing?
Yeah. What are we even talking about?
Yeah.
So at its heart, need for closure is basically this fundamental human drive to try to find structure in the world, to make things that are complex seem more simple, and to really steer clear of ambiguity. It's that feeling of wanting to have a solid answer and not have to linger in uncertainty.
Yeah, have you ever felt that urge to just
to know something?
Yeah, to just know and just be done thinking about it?
Oh, yeah.
That's need for closure in action. Okay, so where did this whole idea even come from?
So this idea came from what's called lay epistemic theory.
What is that?
It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
It was developed by this guy, Ari Kruglanski.
Okay.
And this theory is really all about how people in their everyday lives, how they build their understanding of the world.
Okay.
So it's not about scientists in a lab.
Right.
It's about you and me just walking around every day.
Yeah.
How do we figure out what's true?
Yeah.
How do we decide what we believe?
That's interesting. Yeah, because we don't usually think about that, do we?
No, we don't.
We kind of just absorb information and go.
Yeah.
So how does that work then, according to this theory?
So lay epistemic theory says that it happens in basically two main steps.
Okay.
First, we've got something called problem formulation.
Problem formulation, okay.
And that's the part where we're coming up with different possible explanations or ideas about something.
So we're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, we're trying to figure it out. We're generating hypotheses.
Yeah.
We're coming up with possibilities.
Okay.
Then we move into the second step, which is problem resolution.
Problem resolution, okay.
And that's where we're evaluating all those possibilities, and we're trying to decide which one seems the most true or correct.
Okay.
So we're like weighing the evidence. We're trying to reach a conclusion.
So that's kind of like the decision-making part.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're making a judgment.
So where does motivation come into all of this?
So motivation is actually key to both of those steps. How much we want to find an answer.
Yeah.
Or even how open we are to different ideas in the first place really shapes how we go about building our understanding.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we've got this drive to find answers.
Yeah.
But the article mentions two different dimensions of what it calls epistemic motives.
Yeah.
What are those all about?
So Kruglanski proposed that these motives can be understood through two different lenses. One is specificity, and the other one is tendency.
Okay.
So specificity is really asking whether your need for closure is about landing on a very specific answer.
So there's one right answer.
There's one right answer, and you want that one.
Yeah.
That would be specific closure. Or if it's just about getting any answer to get rid of that uncertainty.
So I just want an answer.
Yeah, just tell me something.
I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
I just want to be done with it.
Yeah, and that's non-specific closure. Non-specific, okay?
The other lens tendency is looking at whether we're trying to get closure or avoid it.
So do I want an answer?
Yeah.
Or do I want to keep it open?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Do you want to stay in that uncertainty?
Interesting, okay.
So you can see how those two things can combine in different ways to create 4 different orientations.
Okay, let's hear it.
So first we've got the need for specific closure.
That's where you want a specific predetermined answer.
That's the one I want, and that's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Then there's the need for non-specific closure, which is just wanting any answer, just resolve that feeling of uncertainty.
To tell me something.
Yeah, just give me something.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the coin, you have the need to avoid specific closure.
Okay.
And that's when you really don't want a particular conclusion.
I don't want to hear it.
You don't want to hear it.
Okay.
Maybe it challenges something you already believe.
Okay. Interesting.
And then finally, we have the need to avoid non-specific closure.
Okay, so this is just like, I don't want to even...
Yeah, you want to keep everything open, explore lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
Don't settle on an answer.
Keep it open-ended? Yeah.
Keep it open-ended, exactly. So we've got all 4 of these playing out, potentially.
So the article mentioned that we're going to focus mostly on non-specific need for closure.
Right.
Why that one?
So the reason we're going to focus on non-specific need for closure is because it has these really broad implications for how we learn in general.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what subject you're trying to learn.
Okay.
That need to get to a conclusion quickly and get rid of ambiguity.
Yeah.
It can have a huge impact on how you take in and process that information.
Okay, cool.
It's just this really fundamental part of learning.
Okay, so let's dig into that then.
Yeah, let's get into it.
How does this non-specific need for closure, how does that affect learning?
So the article talks about this idea of seizing.
Seizing. What is that?
So seizing is basically what happens when someone with a high need for non-specific closure comes across a question or a problem, and they basically grab on to the first explanation that seems plausible.
Okay.
Just want to get an answer and move on.
It sounds stressful, actually.
It can be.
Like, I need an answer now. I don't care what it is.
Yeah, there's this real sense of urgency.
Yeah.
A drive to have an answer, even if you haven't explored the question fully.
Oh, yeah. So what's wrong with doing that?
Well, the problem is that urgency can sometimes lead to not considering lots of different explanations.
Okay.
And the explanations you do come up with might not be that well thought out. They might be based on whatever knowledge you already have.
Yeah.
But that knowledge could be incomplete or biased or even wrong.
Right.
Or you might just be focusing on the most obvious details without going any deeper.
Okay.
Do you have any examples of that?
Yeah. Give me an example of what this seizing would look like.
Yeah, sure.
Like in real life.
So imagine that someone's trying to learn about why the Earth has seasons.
Okay.
And someone with a high need for closure might immediately say,
oh, yeah.
Oh, it's because the Earth is closer to the sun in the summer or further away in the winter.
Yeah.
It's a simple explanation. Yeah. It's available.
It's easy. That's the one.
But it's wrong.
Oh.
It misses the key role of the Earth's tilt.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got an answer that feels good, so they go with it.
Yeah, okay. So they've grabbed that first seemingly okay answer.
Right.
The article also talks about superficial processing strategies.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So because of that drive to get to an answer quickly, people with a high need for closure will often prefer those learning methods that let them get there really fast.
I see.
Even if it means they're not really understanding the material that well.
Yeah.
So think about things like memorizing facts without understanding how they connect, or highlighting text without thinking about what it means, or just copying notes over and over, those sorts of things.
Just going through the motions.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It can feel like you're learning,
but
you're not really engaging that deeply.
Okay, so this seizing, and these quick fix strategies. What kind of impact does that have on their overall learning? Like, do they actually understand it?
So research shows that high need for nonspecific closure is linked to using those more superficial learning strategies. And it's actually negatively correlated.
So they do less of it.
Yeah, with those deeper processing strategies.
Got it.
The ones that really lead to deep understanding and the ability to apply that knowledge.
So they don't do that.
Yeah, they tend to not do that as much. What's also really interesting is that high need for closure is negatively correlated with mastery goals.
Mastery goals? What is that?
So mastery goals are all about wanting to understand a topic really thoroughly.
So, like, I want to master it.
Yeah. For the sake of mastering it.
So not for a grade.
Right. Not for grade. Not for external reward.
Because it's interesting.
Yeah, because you're just interested in it. You want to know. And so if you're really driven by need for closure, you might be more focused on just getting the task done rather than mastering the material.
So they've grabbed an answer. They haven't dug any deeper. The article also talks about freezing.
Freezing.
What's that?
So freezing is what happens once someone with that high need for closure has settled on a solution.
So they've got their answer.
They've got it, and they freeze on it. They don't want to change their mind.
I see. So they're resistant to new information.
Yeah, they're very resistant.
That's interesting.
Have you ever felt like that?
Oh, yeah. I think we all have.
Yeah, we all have.
Where you make your mind up about something and then it's like...
And then you don't want to hear anything else.
Yeah.
It could be freezing.
So how does this freezing show up in learning?
So one way it shows up is they're only going to give new information a really quick glance.
They're not going to look at it very carefully.
Not very carefully at all. They're also probably going to show what we call confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias? What's that?
So confirmation bias is that tendency to look for information that supports what we already believe. And then to ignore or downplay any evidence that contradicts it.
So we're only looking for stuff that backs up what we already think.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're building a case for our own beliefs.
Gotcha.
And that can be a big hurdle to learning something new.
Because you're not really open to...
You're not open to new information.
Yeah.
It can also lead to belief-biased reasoning.
Belief-biased reasoning.
It's where you really critically evaluate anything that goes against your beliefs. But you don't apply that same level of scrutiny to information that supports your beliefs.
So we're tougher on the stuff that we disagree with.
Exactly. You're holding it to a higher standard.
Gotcha.
And the article even mentions examples of teachers who do this.
Really?
Yeah.
So they'll hold on to their own beliefs.
Yeah, they'll cling to their prior beliefs.
Even if the evidence is wrong.
Yeah, even when they're presented with evidence that contradicts them.
So they've got their idea and now they're really defending it.
Yeah, they're protecting it, even if the evidence is weak.
So are there other ways that this high need for closure affects how someone learns?
Yeah, there are a few other interesting things. One is that they might prefer abstract or global information over very specific details. And that might be because those abstract ideas feel more true universally, and they're less likely to be proven wrong.
That's interesting.
In learning this could mean that a student understands the general concept, but they're missing those little details or examples that would help them understand it better.
Got it.
Another thing is that high need for closure can affect memory.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It can make the primacy effect or recency effect stronger.
Okay, wait, let's back up. What's the primacy effect?
So the primacy effect is when you remember the first things you learned better, and the recency effect is when you remember the things you learned most recently better. And it seems like which one of those is stronger depends on when that person decided they wanted to learn.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So if they start studying with the intention of learning, they might remember the first things better because they grabbed onto those right away. But if their need for closure kicks in later, then they might just remember whatever they learned most recently. Because that's what's fresh in their mind.
So their need for closure is affecting what they even remember.
It is.
That's crazy.
And one more thing. Individuals with a high need for closure might also rely more on external cues to judge how well they're doing.
So they're not trusting their own gut?
No, not as much. They might be more focused on things like their grades or the rules of the classroom or feedback from their teachers.
Because that feels more certain.
Yeah, it feels more concrete.
Okay.
Less subjective.
And are they more likely to question the rules?
They might be less likely to question the rules because that introduces uncertainty.
Right, right.
Which they don't like.
So this seems like it has some pretty big implications for students working together.
Yeah, it does.
The article talks about how need for closure affects group learning.
Right. So in group discussions or debates, students who seize on that first idea are going to jump to a conclusion quickly and then be very resistant to other viewpoints.
Or new information, like they've shut down.
Yeah, they've made up their mind.
So what about in like smaller learning groups?
So research shows that groups that have a high need for closure overall might not learn as effectively.
Really?
Yeah, they might not brainstorm as many ideas.
Okay.
They might favor conventional ideas. There might be more pressure to conform.
So nobody wants to rock the boat.
Right.
Everyone just agrees.
Yeah, and they're going to resist changing their minds.
And could this affect the leadership in the group?
There's some evidence that it can lead to more autocratic leadership.
Autocratic meaning what?
Meaning that one or two people kind of dominate the group.
Okay, so everyone's just following the leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
So yeah, this drive for quick answers and certainty can really stifle that collaborative learning and critical thinking.
So it's not so good in groups.
It's not always the best.
Okay.
But it's important to remember that seeking quick closure isn't always a bad thing.
Okay.
Especially if the task is very simple or when putting in a ton of effort to deeply understand something.
This is not worth it.
Isn't worth the payoff.
Yeah.
Sometimes a good enough answer is all you need.
It's fine.
It is.
Yeah. Okay, good point.
So it's not all good or all bad.
Yeah, yeah.
It depends on the situation.
So now let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
What happens when someone has a need to avoid non-specific closure?
So this is the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
This is where you have a real desire to keep exploring and to think things through carefully. You're comfortable with ambiguity.
Okay.
You're open to new information.
Yeah.
Even when you need to make a decision. The article even says that these folks might savor the uncertainty.
So they like not knowing the answer.
Yeah, they're okay with it.
That's interesting.
They don't feel that pressure
Yeah.
to rush to a conclusion.
Okay.
They're going to process information for longer, consider lots of different possibilities before they settle on anything.
So what makes someone want to do that?
So there are a few things that might motivate this.
Okay.
One is a need for accuracy.
So they want to be right.
They want to be right.
Okay.
Another is a need for justification.
So they want to be able to explain their thinking.
Yeah, they want to have solid reasons.
They want to know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes it's actually the fear of being wrong.
So that makes them keep looking.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't want to make a mistake.
So how does the school environment affect this need to avoid closure?
So schools often emphasize getting the right answer, and that can encourage this avoidance of jumping to conclusions.
Okay.
Also, teachers who really encourage critical thinking can create a classroom environment where students feel like they need to understand deeply and not just rush to an answer.
So it sounds like this concern about being wrong could actually lead to better learning.
It can in some cases.
But is that always a good thing?
It's a balance.
Okay.
The article talks about how too much fear of being wrong can be a problem. It can lead to anxiety.
They're so worried about being wrong, they don't even try.
Exactly.
Oh.
Or it can make them focus too much on grades instead of really understanding the material.
So it's not about learning. It's about
the external reward.
Yeah.
So it's about finding that balance between wanting an answer and being willing to keep thinking critically.
So the drive to seek closure and the drive to avoid it, both of those things really affect learning.
They do.
Okay.
It's just a matter of how they affect it.
Okay, so the article also mentions need for specific closure and need to avoid specific closure. How do those relate to learning?
So those ideas are especially relevant when people are learning new information that challenges their existing beliefs.
Okay, so this is when what we already think clashes with what we're learning.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And those beliefs could be really deep.
Like religious beliefs?
Yeah, like religious beliefs or cultural beliefs or even just everyday ideas about how the world works.
Like common sense kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if someone has a really strong need for specific closure, they're going to cling to that belief no matter what.
Okay.
Even when they're faced with evidence that says they're wrong.
So they're not changing their mind.
No. Okay.
They're holding on tight.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, sure.
Like, what would that look like?
So, for example, some students might continue to believe that heavy objects fall faster.
Even though we know that's not true.
Even though we know it's not true.
So they've seen the experiment.
They've seen it.
But they still don't believe it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or they might think that plants get their food from soil.
Even after learning about photosynthesis.
Even after learning about photosynthesis.
Okay.
They're not letting go of that old belief.
So it's like they're filtering out the new information.
They are.
To make it fit with what they already think?
Yeah, they're making it fit.
Okay.
And researchers have found that people do this in a few different ways.
They might just ignore the information completely. Exactly. Or they might reject it outright.
No, that's wrong.
That's wrong.
Okay.
Or they might reinterpret it.
So they twist it around.
Yeah, they twist it around.
To make it fit.
To make it fit.
Okay.
And sometimes they even build these things called synthetic models.
Synthetic models. What's that?
So that's where they try to blend the new information with their old understanding, even if it creates a model that's not scientifically accurate.
Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, so a classic example is someone believing that the sun goes around the Earth
Oh, yeah.
to explain day and night.
Host.